Hello everybody, thanks for dropping by. This is a video about the songwriting process. So what we're going to do is take an original concept and show you its development all the way through to its final release, with some fantastic advice from some of the world's greatest songwriters thrown in the middle as well as we go through the process. So if you're a songwriter already, be interesting to get your feedback on how your process differs from mine and any hints and advice you can give me. And if you're somebody who's just starting out, then hopefully this will demystify it a little bit for you and give you the confidence that, you know, if I can do it, so can you. So if you haven't already, well, you know the drill. Click like, click subscribe so you keep up to date with all the releases that we have coming up. There's going to be at least a video a week and at least a song a month. Okay, so bear with me. I think writing a song is a lot like giving birth. Now, I know we live in confusing times, but that's not me claiming to have any experience of what giving birth is actually like. But I think there are some key similarities. Here we are at the start. Now, so far, there's no idea, there's no concept, there's not even a desire to create a song, which I think is a really good way to start out, just noodling around on the guitar. And what will always happen is that something, if you stick at it long enough, something will come up. And if it's interesting, you work on it, you develop it. But it's just fun. It's just messing around. It's just fooling around at this stage. Now, what had happened here was I had recently treated myself to a new guitar. And it just always seems the case that when you're playing a new instrument, it has a song in it somewhere. And I felt like I kind of found this repeating pattern. Here it is. So now, after all that fooling around, you have a thing which is starting to feel precious to you. And you want to help it along. You want to nurture it so that it can grow into finally being a finished song. You're not there yet. You've still got decisions to make. In this case, I had a riff that I was enjoying playing, and I thought it might work well as part of the intro. So that's what I did next. I added that intro to it, took it all the way up to the chorus. Now at this point, I started to feel like I had something, and I could see, not maybe the finish line yet, but I could definitely see that this could become a song. Because, you know, a lot of the time you might get this far with a song and you just can't take it any further. And one of the reasons that I struggle, and obviously I'm still at the very beginning stages of becoming a songwriter or being a songwriter, but one of the reasons I start to struggle, it's this point where I start to think about how other people are going to think about this song. So here's some great advice from an absolute legend.
Never play to the gallery. I think, but you never learn that until much later on, I think. But never work for other people at what you do. Always remember that the reason that you initially started working was that there was something inside yourself that you felt that if you could manifest it in some way, you would understand more about yourself and how you coexist with the rest of society. And I think it's terribly dangerous for an artist to fulfill other people's expectations. I think they generally produce their worst work when they do that. And if the other thing I would say is that if you feel safe in the area that you're working in, you're not working in the right area. Always go a little further into the water than you feel you're capable of being in. Go a little bit out of your depth. And when you don't feel that your feet are quite touching the bottom, you're just about in the right place to do something exciting.
That's fantastic advice, right? The thing is, all of us have got our conscious mind in the way. It's not the conscious mind that comes up with chords or the sounds or any of the good part of it. It's a conscious mind that gets in the way. You've got the creative part of you, and when you're playing something, you think this is brilliant and you're enjoying it. And then you get that voice saying, this isn't very good, or this sounds like something else, or what are you going to do from here? And you just have to shut that voice down. You are in your own way at that point. Commit to the process. You don't have to believe in yourself. You just have to do the work. So I got it done. I got as much of it as I could get done, and then I looked for some help. You can't do everything yourself. Well, not true. Obviously, if you're Stevie Wonder or Prince or Jimi Hendrix, maybe you can. But I'm an average guitarist, a new songwriter. I have very little grasp of musical theory, don't read music, can't play the drums, really not much of a bassist. So I rely on help. And I took this project as far as I thought I could take it and handed it over to a producer. And here's what they came up with, or here's what he came up with. So if I haven't stretched this metaphor too far already, that was the giving birth. So what happens is I send off all the guitar parts and the bass parts to a producer, and he fixes it a little bit. One of the things that you may or may not have noticed in the pieces I've played so far is timing, which takes us to the next bit of genius advice.
To a metronome, I'd be lousy too. You know, I think it's a matter of don't be too afraid of like counting and all of that. Don't worry about that. Just put it where you feel it. I mean, you can jump. Most of my stuff is either jumping in front of the beat slightly or dragging it back. It depends, as I say, who you're playing with. You can't do this with any old drummer, but there are a lot of good drummers out there. But I mean, I'm blessed. We've been playing all of my pressure with Charlie Watts, Steve Jordans, and, you know, Georgie Rossellis and Zigaboo melodistas, you know, I mean, so I've never, you know, so in a way, what's a drummer like? You know, he might be the one screwing you, you know what I mean? And if you're working with a metronome, forget about it, play around it.
The other thing about this song was I'd always had it in mind that there would be lyrics, and I had the chorus, but nothing else. While I was focusing on the actual guitar parts and the bass parts and the music, I always thought that I would be able to come up with the lyrics once it was finished. But it didn't seem to matter how much time I spent agonizing over how to write lyrics, they just would not come. What I normally do is upload the song to SoundCloud and then go for a really long walk and try and listen to the song over and over again until an idea comes out. But again, sometimes you're in your own way. Sometimes you're trying too hard to say something instead of just seeing what comes out. Thankfully, in the end, I just stopped taking myself so seriously and wrote down what came into my head. And then it was done. So instead of one beautiful bouncing baby song, I had twins. And now it's about what kind of parent you're going to be. Obviously, every parent loves their own child and wants to show it off to the world. From that point, you can either be the pushy parent that thrusts it out there and won't take no for an answer and get it heard by as many people as possible, or just abandon it and crack on with This is definitely the most nerve-wracking part. Once it's finished and it's out there, get ready to hear what people think of it. Now, your friends and your family pretty much always going to say, hey, that's great, well done. Everybody else, probably a bit more lukewarm. They may never get to hear it. You have to do something to make them hear it in the first place. And then after a while, it can be quite demoralizing. But it's good to keep putting yourself out there. It's good to keep being vulnerable. And personally, and I'm sure everybody's different, I'd love to hear your comments on this. But what I'm really interested in is people telling me what they don't like about it. I really want to hear what's wrong with it. I want to hear why it didn't quite work. But when it comes to music, if it's not great, it's just meh. Now, I know that I probably haven't come close to writing the kind of song that people are going to fall in love with instantly, that's going to catch fire. But, you know, I'm like any other parent. I really believe in my product or my song, and I'm going to keep putting myself out there and being vulnerable. But what I would say to you is, if you've watched this far, then I really do care about what you think about it. And I mean, even if you hate it, let me know. Let's begin a dialogue. I'm looking to improve every single time, and you do that by constantly improving what you do based on things that you got wrong and trying to fix little things. So really important, get your comments down below. If any of this video has been of interest to you, hopefully it has, then click like and subscribe and stay in touch. And as I said, there's going to be a song every month and a video every week. Thank you so much for coming this far with me on this video. And I'm going to leave you with one of the absolute legends of music and his thoughts on what I've just talked about.
I don't know. I don't really live on compliments. Matter of fact, it has a way of distracting me. And a whole lot of other musicians and artists that are out there today, you know, they hear all these compliments, they say, wow, it must have been really great. So they get fat and satisfied, and they get lost, and they forget about the actual talent that they have, and they start living into another world, you know.